Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be running through 6 fragrances that don't get no love. Like, nobody talks about these fragrances. Well, some reviewers might do, but I don't sit there looking through everybody's YouTube channel who does fragrance content. But to me, these don't seem to get a lot of love. And I think they are superb fragrances. And if more people knew about these fragrances and smelt them and heard about them, I do think that they genuinely would get some love because they deserve it. Stay tuned to find out about these fragrances. What is good, YouTube? Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mikey Cologne and thank you very much for tuning in today. I want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers. I never forget you lot, hence why I always say a big thank you. And if you're new to my channel and you do enjoy my content, hit that subscribe button. It is completely free. Always press the bell because it will notify you when I drop a review at a later date. That is right, I'm going to talk about 6 fragrances. There is 2 Irish fragrances in this list, but they're not just full-on Irish fragrances. And I'm going to start off with one. This is coming from the house of Laboratorio Altivo, and it is called Minimalist. Now, I believe this came out in 2010 or 2011. This does not smell dated one bit. It is 13 or 14 years old, but trust me, that does not mean nothing. To me, this has a timeless DNA. It's not the most complex fragrance, but man, this stuff smells good. And you can find these 100ml bottles on a discount, like inexpensive. Let me just spray it. Not bad atomizer. Weighty metal cap. Oh, this is good. This is really good. You got Cara, Irish, Violet, Cedar, Amber and Dame Accord. Now, this to me opens up a little bit fruity. It opens up powdery. It opens up a little bit green. It does have a little bit of a metallic tone to the fragrance when it first opens up. Like, it's a little bit piercing. And I think that is coming from the violet leaf plus that green tone that you have in the fragrance. Now, as it starts to settle in, it opens up fresh, but it starts to gain a little bit of warmth, and that is coming from the amber. Like, this doesn't sit balsamic or resinous or even too heavy for that matter, but the amber does slowly warm this fragrance up, and it always keeps a little bit of sweetness into the fragrance. You do get a soft woodsy undertone. The Irish mixed in with the violet does give this a powdery side, a floral touch, but also I get a very faint lipsticky quality, or that cosmetic bag style of Irish. I do get little snippets of that in this fragrance, but it's more powdery and floral than what it is lipsticky, so to speak. So it's fresh, powdery, fruity, but there's no fruits listed, and the carrot does give this, I would say, a little bit of a starchy opening along with that metallic tone, but that sort of, or both of them, soon fizzle out. So it opens up fruity, fresh, a little bit sweet, powdery, green, a little bit sharp, starts drying down, warms up, a little bit woodsy. The powdery side turns up a little bit. You get floral touches. It's a solid fragrance. To me, you can make this your signature scent. It will go well dressed down. It will go well dressed up. Longevity 6 to 7 hours, so it's moderate. If you do 5 to 6 sprays like I do with this, like you can see, I've worn probably about 15ml of this. If you do about 5 to 6 sprays, it does push well for the first hour. And then after that, it does start to rain in, but it does linger. It does leave you with a nice scent bubble. But anyway, that is Minimalist from Laboratorio Altivo. This deserves some love. The fruity quality stays all the way through, and I do not know where that is coming from. Oh, and plus it has a little bit of a suede, I'd say, undertone in the late dry down. Great fragrance. Coming up next is a fragrance from the house of Maison Martine, and this is called Lost in Translation. This is a great fragrance and nobody talks about it. Front of the bottle, back of the bottle, you got a little bit of artwork. These are 50ml bottles, eau de parfum concentration. I think these are rubbered recycled caps. Great atomizers on these bottles, look, pressurized. You can pick these up now. The 50mls, I do not know if they do 100ml bottles. I haven't seen one. These range from 40 to 60 pound, depending if you find these fragrances on discounted websites. So just keep your eyes peeled or keep looking and searching if you are looking for the lowest price. But to me, it's worth the money all day long. This is a busy fragrance, especially in the opening. When I first got this in, I thought to myself, I wasn't expecting too much of it. I've never tried a fragrance from this house before. And when I sprayed it on and smelt it, there is a lot to it. You got clean accords, violet leaf, juniper, rosewood, black pepper, white tea, patchouli, dry woods, tobacco, leather, and musk. Now, how does this open up? It opens up fresh, spicy, green, aromatic, a little bit ozonic and woodsy. So there's a lot going on. It's like an explosion of accords. As this starts to dry down, the woods does amp up in this. Then the patchouli comes in. And when the patchouli comes in, what it does is it starts to darken, lost in translation, up a little bit. And that fresh top starts to fizzle out. Then you get the tobacco that comes in after the patchouli. And the tobacco here kind of dries this fragrance out. Like, there's nothing juicy to this fragrance. But the tobacco really does dry this out. And the tobacco here comes across more like a tobacco leaf. Dry, spicy, smelling a little bit like hay. And with that patchouli, it gives off a little bit of an earthy quality, plus helps out on the woodsy side of things. Now, when this sits in its complete dry down, the aromatics are gone. That fresh side to this fragrance has gone. The woods are really dialed up, and now I get a little bit of a smoky touch from that tobacco in the late dry down. So from mid to dry down, it's dry, spicy, smelling a little bit like hay. Not damp hay, dry hay. Then when it's completely dried down, that is when I start getting this smoky quality that comes through. And it's never overpowering. It's enough to know that it is there. But it's no more than that. And the leather. Now, to me, I think the leather comes in with the patchouli, but it's not noticeable at first. But when it does get to its dry down, I think that mixed in with the tobacco helps create that smoky quality that the fragrance has. To me, this is a masculine scent. You could have this as your signature fragrance. If you're going to wear this indoors, I would only put on a couple of sprays because my bottle opens up strong. Like, I've sprayed that once and this whole area is filled up with Lost in Translation, which is not a bad thing. But outside, 4 to 5 sprays. Indoors, if you're going to wear it to work, 2 sprays. You could, again, dressed up, dressed down, if you're going out for drinks with the lads, if you're going for a meal with the missus. It has a smart quality to the fragrance, but also it's not that serious at the same time. But yeah, solid fragrance, solid performer, underlooked or nobody talks about it. It deserves some hype. Lost in Translation. I know we're heading into spring, or we are at the beginning of spring. And Nimal you can wear in spring, early summer, all year round apart from super hot days. The same as Lost in Translation. That is, I would say, a 3-season fragrance. I think it'd be a bit too much for hotter days, but spring, cooler weather, it'd be great. Now, this one I want to talk to you about now, should only be worn in cold weather. I would even say super cold weather. This is Byzantine Amber from Francesca Bianchi. This is a little bottle, my friends, but let me tell you something. This is potent juice. This is loud. This is bold. This is dark. And that is how it opens up. I'm not even going to bother spraying this fragrance. I believe this is extrait to parfum, and it is very long lasting. Look at the colour of that juice. That is dark, resinous, and that's exactly what it is. You've got cinnamon, bergamot, geranium, leather, incense, labdanum, styrax, benzoin and ambergris. This opens smoky, resinous, sweet, dark. That bergamot, I think, is there to try and tame that opening. Like, you do not get like a bergamot blast. I don't anyway. I think she had to put something fresh in up to top to try and stop it from being too much when it opens up. And it also has an animalic side when it opens up. Now, this fragrance, everything happens quite quick. It does change when it gets into its complete dry down, but from opening to mid, going into the dry down, it sort of stays this ambery, resinous, balsamic, rich, dark, smoky, woodsy, and I would say slightly aromatic coming from that geranium. That is how the fragrance sits. But when it gets into its dry down, that is when the smoky side does fizzle out. That is gone. That animalic side has now toned way down. It is just there in the back, very faintly. And this is not an over animalic fragrance. It's not really barnyardy or fecal. It's just got an animalic twang to it coming from the ambergris. And then in the base, I'm going off track. In the base, it just sits resinous, sweet, dark, not smoky, a touch animalic. I would say a little bit woodsy as well. I definitely get a woodsy tone from this fragrance. It's not an overly complex fragrance, but it doesn't need to be. It smells great. It's powerful. If you want a beast mode, long-lasting fragrance, if you've done 4 to 5 sprays with this, if you treat this as a normal fragrance, you're going to be in trouble, and the people around you are going to be in trouble, especially if you wear this in warmer weather. If I was to wear this on a spring evening, I would do 1 spray. That would be it. That would be enough. Because when you spray this, when you just do that initial spray, it just fills your nose cavities or your nostril cavities right up, and it just gives you big projection. But anyway, Byzantine Amber, I don't hear nobody talk about this fragrance. If you want something to cut through the cold, or if you do live in a colder climate, try this fragrance. It's stunning. It's of high quality as well, and it is very smooth. Even though it's a little bit animalic, trust me, this fragrance is smooth. But anyway, Francesca Bianchi. Next, we have a fragrance coming from the house of Commodity. This fragrance used to be called Whiskey. Now, well, they've starred out a few of the letters, and now it's just called WY, but Whiskey. This, my friends, is not really a boozy fragrance. Oh no, this is juicy, this is fruity, this has plum in it. This is another stunner. And Commodity, a couple of times a year, do great sales where you can get 20-30% off of their fragrances. So if you sign up to their newsletter, this is not a sponsor review, if you sign up to their newsletter, you will get heads up when they have sales. Sometimes it's around the new year, around Christmas. Oh, this is good. This is good. To me, this starts out unisex and dries down leaning masculine. My own personal opinion. You've got plums, blackcurrant, violet, divana, patchouli, saffron, lavender, vanilla, vetiver, cedarwood, ambergris, American oak, and mahogany. So from the last few notes that I've read to you, you can tell that this base is woodsy, and it is, but it opens up with that plum. It's a little bit aromatic, it's a little bit spicy. With this, the leather, or you get this leathery aroma. I would say more like suede coming from the saffron. But the saffron is supplying a little bit of spice, but also with all this, it has a powdery side as well. So it's juicy, yet powdery, fruity, I'll say semi-sweet, aromatic, a little bit spicy, start settling in. The saffron then lets off this suede aroma. Now, this is when the woods start coming in. Once this hits the mid, like this just gets flooded with woods, and you can smell it. These notes, sometimes you will get notes in fragrances and they don't really come through. I can't remember what fragrance I reviewed the other day that had a lot of, that's it, Givenchy Gentleman Society Extreme. Now, that's got a quartet of vetiver in it. I think it had cedarwood and sandalwood. So by looking at their notes, you'll be thinking that is going to be a woods heavy fragrance. It isn't. But this is, once it goes from mid to dry down. The mahogany, that American oak, they really do come out in this fragrance, and they really do darken the base up. The plum always lingers, but when it's at its complete dry down, it's way in the back. Even the aromatics, like the aromatic side to this fragrance, it always stays. It never fizzles out, but it just makes its way to the back along with the plum. The leathery or the suede aroma that I get, that does fizzle out. But in the end, you're left with woods, a little bit of sweetness, a touch aromatic. And I would say, even though this fragrance does darken up, because of that plum, there's always a little bit of a bright side to the fragrance. I think this is a stunner. I think that this would be great for a date night. I really do. I wouldn't go near this in the dead of summer. It would become too much. It does have a little bit of thickness to it. It is a little bit dense. It's not quite an airy fragrance. So great for spring, early summer evenings, but dead of summer, I wouldn't go near it. And obviously you can wear it in the cold. Starts out unisex, but when it dries down, it definitely leans more on the masculine side. This is a solid fragrance, my friends. It really is. No, there's nothing really boozy about it, but if you love plum in your fragrances, you're going to appreciate whiskey from Commodity. The fragrance I want to talk to you about now, fellas would look at this fragrance or the name of this fragrance and be like, that to me sounds like a feminine or a woman's fragrance. Fellas, if you are watching this fragrance is completely unisex. It is called Purple Powder from Gallagher Fragrances. This was love at first sniff. It really was. I love the way the bottle looks. You have a solid weighty metal cap. Atomizer, not too bad, but the juice. Oh my God, this is great. This is a fantastic fragrance. And again, nobody's talking about it. Right, this has a ton of notes in it. Do I get all the notes that I'm going to read to you? No, I don't. But I'm going to get into it. Are you ready? You got yellow mandarin, lemon, bergamot, bitter orange, styrax, black and pink pepper, magnolia, lily, iris powder, vetiver, Texas cedar, sweet acorn, amber, benzoin, labdanum, toasted cinnamon, patchouli, hay absolute, vanilla and musk. Now, this opens up citrusy. This opens up fruity. The orange accords in this fragrance really do jump or pop on my skin. This is, and it's juicy as well. Like the orange, the way it comes across, it smells realistic, but then it's got a citrusy side to it. So you have a nice dose of sweetness to it up top. It is fresh. There is a little bit of subtle spice there, but nothing to where I'd say this is a spicy fragrance. No, there's just a little bit lurking in the back. Now, after a couple of minutes, that is when I start noticing the powdery side to this fragrance. And then at this stage, the fragrance is starting to warm up a little bit. And to me, the florals here, this does have a very light floral edge or light floral touches to this fragrance. But fellas, I'm going to say it again, I wouldn't sit here like the magnolia, the lily, the iris powder. This is not an overly feminine fragrance, and it ain't an overly masculine fragrance, hence why I think it's down the middle. But them florals do give off a little bit of a floral aroma in the fragrance. But what they do is, as well, I always say this about florals, they help things, or they help smooth out the mid in fragrances, and they do add a little bit of a creamy quality. And in this fragrance, they add a little bit of a smooth creamy quality into the fragrance. As it's starting to dry down, it's turning a little bit powdery, it's starting to warm up a little bit. Now you're getting very light balsamic woodsy touches that are coming in whilst staying fruity. And then as this dries down more and more, it gets a little bit darker, the wood style up a little bit, the spice again, it's just still lingering way in the back. Vanilla comes through with musky edges. It is a stunning scent, it really is. This to me is more of an occasion fragrance. Like, you could wear this every day, not a problem. But I think it's too good to just wear every day. Unless you just want to roll like that, and fair enough. But me, if you're going out, say if you're going out for drinks or something to eat with the missus, or vice versa, ladies, if you're watching this, if you're going out for something to eat with the fellas, or if you're going out for drinks with the gals or the guys, or if you're just having a social gathering somewhere with family, friends, this would be a great fragrance to wear for them occasions. It really would. The quality of the juice as well is top notch. And I think these are £100 for 50ml bottles. It is worth that if you have the money. The cap is a fingerprint magnet, and so is the plaque on the front. But anyway, that's Purple Powder from Gallagher Fragrances. Stunning fragrance, nobody talks about it, which means that if you're wearing it, hardly nobody else is gonna be. So it'll make you stand out. Purple Powder. Now I wanted to put a minimalistic fragrance in this list, because not everyone enjoys screamers, not everyone enjoys overly complex fragrances where their noses get overwhelmed. Some people just like to wear a fragrance for themselves that is a little bit low-key, and that is why I put this on the list, and plus nobody talks about it. This is Buddha Wood from Zarko Perfumes. Now, when I first got this in ages ago, and I sprayed it on, I could not hardly detect this fragrance, and I let it sit for a little while, and a few times while it was sitting, I went back to it, I was spraying it on, and every now and again I could get a little bit more of the fragrance, to where it got to a point where I could smell it for 7 or 8 hours on my skin. This is a simple fragrance, but I'm telling you something now, to me this smells great, it really does. You've got Australian sandalwood, cashmere wood, and you've got musk. They are the 3 notes listed. Now, what do I get from this fragrance? It is musky, it is woodsy. It opens up with a little bit of a sour tinge. That is what I get with a fruity quality. I get this fruity smell from the fragrance, plus woods, and it is a little bit musky from the get-go. As it dries down, the woods get heavier, the musk gets heavier, that fruity quality lingers, the sour tinge that you got up top, that fizzles out. That's only there for a couple of minutes, and then that does go. And that is basically the fragrance, or that is Buddha Wood in a nutshell. Now, you can get a fruit called the Buddha hand. And I genuinely think that that is a hidden note in this fragrance. I really do. Buddha Wood, Buddha hand. This has a fruity side to it, and no fruits are listed. To me, it's not coming across really citrusy, it's more coming across fruity. And I have to say that the sandalwood here is very smooth. It does go in a dry down, once it's sat for a couple of hours, it does go a little bit dusty on my skin, but it also has a little bit of a creamy quality to the fragrance as well. But this is a solid scent, it really is. And again, at discounters for 100ml, you can pick this up for about £70. And I get 7 to 8 hours of longevity out of it. You can wear this whenever, wherever, doesn't matter what season it is. If you're just chilling around the house, fresh out the shower, if you work as a nurse or a doctor, it does radiate though on me. Like, even after a couple of hours and I move about, I still get whiffs of this fragrance. But anyway, that is Psycho Perfumes Buddha Wood. I think it's a great fragrance and nobody talks about it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that is 6 fragrances that I think are criminally underrated. Like I say, I don't hear anybody talking about these fragrances. Yet this is not the perfect time of year for Byzantine Amber, but the rest of them you can rock. And to me, they are worth your money. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about them. Right, ladies and gentlemen, have you tried any of these 6? If you have, what do you think? Are you interested in any of these? If you want to ask me a question, drop a comment down below. I will leave the link for my Unique Luxury discount code down below. And plus where I got these fragrances from. Plus, if you're looking for samples, check out Small Aromas. I will leave the link down below. I hope everybody's having a great weekend. And remember, smelling good's always a pleasure and never a chore. And I will see you on the next one. Cheers.